The richest place in the world is a graveyard. The very first time I heard that, I was blown away of what followed that. First off, you get this visual of graveyards. I don't know about you, but when I was a little girl, those places you just didn't hang out. We would see movies after my teenage years, see people and they're running across a graveyard for a shortcut. That's not something that I did, and nor did my friends. When I think of a graveyard, I think where there are people that are laid to rest for the rest of eternity. But when I heard it put in the concept of the richest place in the world are graveyards, simply because there are too many people that went to the graveyard without doing what they've been called to do, or the things that they wanted to do. Write a book, or do that big presentation in front of hundreds of thousands of people, or write that best-selling song, or launch their fashion line. Too many people that went to their grave without doing the things they've been called to do or the things that they wanted to do because of fear or doubt or whatever the case may be. And so one of those things I want to talk about for you today, the richest place in the world are graveyards. There are too many people that are in their grave right now that didn't write their book. Now, I'm sharing this with you because I know somebody like you should have written your book years ago. You've been sitting around thinking about it. You've talked about it. You may even have a cover, but you haven't done anything with it. Now, when I first started some years ago and I was like, I'm going to write a book. Now, tell the truth, right? Watch this. In the chat, how many of you right now know that you need to write a book or you desire to write a book, but you just don't know where to get started? I don't want you to be like the people that went to their grave without carrying out that one thing. Again, I remember when it was time or I was thinking about writing a book, I went to my computer. I had written the title of the book. I had even written the foreword for somebody else, and I had put some notes in there. It was maybe like 3 pages. That's all I had. And that had been there probably for years, at least 5 years. So today, I want to help you not go to your grave without writing your best-selling book. The recent book that I wrote is From the Battlefield to the Boardroom. And when I share that, most people think it's about my 21 years military career. It's not necessarily about that. It is about a battlefield. All of us have a battlefield. And that battlefield is the life that maybe you grew up in. The battlefield is the struggles that you've had in your life and the issues or trauma or whatever the case may be. And from the battlefield to the boardroom is the place where you become the best version of you. The boardroom may be that 6-figure job. It could be that 9-figure business. It could be that marriage that you've been praying for. It could be that child that you desperately wanted. From the battlefield to the boardroom was my way out. And so as we go through this process today, first off, make sure you go get the book. And second off, if you know that you have a book already on the inside of you, these are a couple of things that I want you to start thinking about, okay? And as I go to my board here, many people start out thinking I need to write a book, but they never really think about the concept. If I were to paint a picture for you, this is the hill that you have to climb. Don't judge my mountain or my hill. And that looks really steep, right? But I want you to break this down into maybe 3 or 4 pieces. The first thing that I want you to do is think about what is the message you want to put out there to the world, right? A book, really, you become a messenger. Only thing you're doing instead of speaking it from the stage, you're actually putting it in a book for people to read. So what's the message that you want? Let's just go back to From the Battlefield to the Boardroom. I wanted everyone who read this book to understand it's okay for you to have a battlefield. It's okay to come from a battlefield. Everybody's battlefield is going to be different, but you don't have to remain there. You can start putting some things in place where you're no longer in a battlefield, but you actually pull your chair up to the biggest table you could possibly pull it up to, which is going to be your boardroom. And so it's the message in which you want to put out there to the world. The next thing, I want you to think about what's that cover going to look like, right? What's the cover look like to you? I wrote another book. It's called The Divorce That Saved My Life. And before I finished the book, the image that I saw in my head after I did a photo shoot, I had 3 different images of me. They were all me sitting on a white couch. And it was a version of me that was standing behind the couch. There was a version of me that was sitting on the edge of the couch looking like somebody just stole my dog, like they just ripped my heart out of my chest. And then I had another version of me that was standing on the side of the chair or something like that. I saw that, but I needed to find someone who could take the ideas that I had in my head and they can make the image of it. And that's what I got. And I was very pleased. We had to go through that a couple of times, but I was very pleased with that. And so what's the message? And then the cover. What's the cover is going to convey really even a bigger message than what's inside the book. Now I'm going to go deep on this before I go wide. But when I say the richest place in the world are graveyards, is because people have went to their grave not doing a thing. In the conversation we're having right now, it's all about you writing your book. The third thing, after the message, after the cover, is how many chapters are you going to have in that book? If you're just beginning in this journey, maybe it's 7. Maybe you decide you want to do 12. I would stop there, especially on your first. And I want you to really think about this book. If you're writing your first one, it's not necessarily a memoir about you. And I always say, and don't take this personally, but this is what I say to my clients, nobody knows who you are yet. We're not Oprah. We're not Michelle Obama. We're not the celebrities that are out there that have millions upon millions of followers. So when we drop a book, everybody runs out to buy it. And when you do a book signing that everybody shows up, that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is really start looking at the message that I want to convey to the world about what is the problem that people are challenged with and what do you want them to learn along the way? What's the cover that's going to stand out to all of them? And then what are the chapters? How many chapters do you want on this? So those are the 3 things that I want you to think about. But the next thing I want you to think about is who's going to help you write this. And I'm not saying me. There are people out there that can help you with this. I would not recommend per se that you go and just do this alone. Go find the experts that can help you convey and convert and then really get to the cash with your book and whatever it is that you want to do. And I know many people are like, hey, it's not about the money for me. It's more about the influence, but it's more about the message that's out there. And so once you realize about the message, the cover, and how many chapters you want to have in there, at least have those things when you go to find help to help you write your book. The thing that I wanted you to know about this particular live in the Dr. Sonia Wisdom Vault is more about not going to your grave with that book on the inside of you. Somebody needs to hear more about your story, but they need to hear more importantly about the message that you want to convey to the world to help this place be a better place. The U.S., the world is in disarray per se, but we can get better and be better if you would step up to the plate and share a message with the world. This is Dr. Sonia. I'll see you on the next Wisdom Vault.